नाजरीन आदाब, आज हमारे साथ स्टूडियो में जी सुब्रमण्यम साहब मौजूद हैं जो व्हाट आफ्टर एसएससी पर बात करने वाले हैं। और जी सुब्रमण्यम साहब के हम आपको बता दें कि आप करीबन 20 साल का तजुर्बा रखते हैं। तकरीबन 8 साल आपने रिक्रूटमेंट के ऊपर काम किया है और करीबन 11 साल से आप जो है लर्निंग एंड डेवलपमेंट पे काम कर रहे हैं। ऐसी अजीम शख्सियत आज हमारे साथ 99 टीवी स्टूडियो में है। सर, वेरी गुड आफ्टरनून एंड वेरी गुड इवनिंग टुडे. We welcome you in 99 TV.
Thank you very much.
To have a very, informative talk for the SSC students especially.
True.
So I have a question like, there are students who are writing SSC examination in the March 2016 in this month only.
Yes.
Very few days is, left for writing an examination.
True.
So there are some students, sir, they got examophobia, we can say. So can you just speak out something?
Why not? See, today the students are running behind to score marks. They have phobia. Whatever they learn when they go and write an exam, they might forget certain things, and at the end of the day, they come out with a less percentage. So there is a kind of a technique which involves to understand. There is a technique called as memory technique, a visual memory technique, which makes the students to understand, visualize, and learn the things in a much better way. If student is given an opportunity to work on this memory technique, definitely he is going to score above 70%, but for that it requires an additional effort to sit and understand what is all about memory technique. Memory technique is something where a student tries to visualize certain things and tries to store in his memory on the right side, because this is a visual center of our memory, where a student tries to understand the visual things and tries to recollect and put it into his memory. And that gets recapitulated much faster than a normal learning, because normal learning, what we do, we read and study and write. So even when we are writing, we are not visualizing, we are only by hearting. But when we are visualizing and remembering it, it becomes a memory technique for the student. So this will give a longer impact, and he can reproduce when he is writing the exam in much better way, so that he can easily come out with 70% much easier way. So that is one small suggestion which I am going to give to these 10th class students, to go and practice a memory technique. Probably it requires an additional support of maybe 1-2 hours to understand what is a memory technique. And once he understands that, he can be in a position to practice that, then he can go wonderfully coming out with success with 70%. Why we are talking about 70%, let me also be very clear. Today the world has changed from a normal level to a tech level.
Yeah.
And now today there is a huge population which is running around us, where the manpower capital is very important, how we manage these stores. Today every company, which is a small company, bigger company, they are aiming not less than 65%. Today students, even the faculty teachers comes and says that you study well, you score well, you get a good percentage. But even this teacher is selling something, they will take it as an in-house, because person who is teaching them regularly, seeing their face, they will not take it very rightly. But a person who is coming from the industry says it's something, achieves 65%, a person who is at 62-63%, he will little bit stretch so that he can get 65%. This is a benchmark which has been set. Yeah. Suppose if he misses that 65%, the lifelong he has to repent, because the first step itself is taking a step back. So after that there are many avenues which he has to climb and get down. So we will be very much more elated to say, try to practice this memory technique. Probably take the first step in the right way and come out very successful. This is about the memory technique, all about which we can give a clue to the SSC students. And any questions would you like to ask?
Yes, sir. Like Telangana government taken a new initiative to introduce a CC pattern syllabus for these people. For writing an SSC examination.
Very true.
Is this like stress on the student community? Why? Because this new option came in.
Yes.
So in this scenario, what your suggestions and valuable advices to the SSC students especially?
Now when we are looking at the education system in India, which is predominantly driven by a number driven. Now students, if you look at the state board syllabus students, every student is given 30 lessons, 35 lessons to by heart and come out and write the exams. But when you look at the central board of syllabus, which gives them the practical teaching, what is the difference between this teaching and that teaching, I will tell you. See, normally any student, he reads it on a board, it would be very tough for him to understand at the first instance. So the central syllabus, what it does, they give some homework, a practical thing to work on this skill. Suppose I am a student and there's an X topic which has been taught today, and they give me an example to write. And if I'm unable to understand, I cannot write that example. So there is a clear indication of the student that he is not understood. So what happens in a central school of syllabuses, they give a lot of stress on the practicality. So when the student is trying to absorb this information by an exponential learning method, this will help them to understand in a much better way, and they can come up much more successfully, and they can remember this knowledge for years together. That is a basic comparison when you compare with the central syllabus and the state syllabus. State syllabus is overloaded with lots of buckets of books and all these things, where they feel the burden, some kind of counseling keeps on happening after that. If you look at today, there is a beautiful example which has been said to take up an example with the parents. Many students, they are aspiring to take up this, what we can say, the triple IT programs. But the amount of stress what they undergo, nobody understands. They go back to their colleges, they get selected, but they are not able to perform there because they mug up everything to come up on the examination point of view. They are not understanding what it is happening. And there are many failures in IIT. Out of say about 100% students, 33% students got a failure backlog in first and second year in IIT, which is an alarming situation in India today. So today, this is a learning lesson for the government to change. The Telangana government has taken a right initiation to change the step. Probably in future, these are the younger pillars to build up the nation. So that is the one right step what the government has taken. Hope so. We should always support for this kind of an education to make it happen for the future pillars. So that is one suggestion which has come up very clearly by government, and yes, it will help the students.
Subramanyam sir, I
Yes.
take this opportunity to ask you a question.
Yes, please.
Mostly we have seen, like you got nearly 20 years experience
True.
in teaching and training and development.
Absolutely correct.
So what we have seen is the last bench students,
Yeah.
mostly they don't perform the competence level in their
True.
curriculums.
True.
And all.
True.
What is the scenario? Actually, what is the situation?
Okay.
Is it a natural way that naturally they don't understand the questions or syllabus what has been taught in the classes?
Okay.
Why these front benches are scoring more and more marks?
Okay.
Can you reflect any points?
See, always there are two things to learn from this point of a question what you have asked very rightly. That there is a marketing side which you talk about. 80% reflection is coming from 20% of the students, and rest 20% comes from the 80% of population. Why this is very clearly because when we teach something and when we make the student to understand, the interaction between the student and the teacher is limited only to the first 2-3 rows.
2-3 rows. Yeah.
And there are a very rare number of faculties or the teachers who are available where they move around the benches, try to interact with the students and come back. When we were being taught in this class, if the last bench student is trying to distract and trying to go away from the class, there used to be a sudden spontaneous question by the student to ask what I taught. So student suddenly wakes up and says, no, I don't remember. So this is a kind of a lesson which behaves on the psychology mentality of the student to understand if the student is really sitting in a class able to understand or not. Today that kind of a touch is missing from the teachers, because today everybody talks about being an engineer, everybody talks about a career counselor, everybody talks about doctor, lawyer, engineer, so many positions which have been coming up in India now. The first basic foundation is laid by the teacher. Teacher is having a multiple tasks to do. One teacher can build up a doctor, engineer, so many things she gives to the society. But nobody is understanding the pain of the teacher, what exactly is happening in today's teaching methodology, which makes the student not to be interactive. One important thing which has come up from the other point of view is today the technology is slowly growing up. The other side of the technology is very clear, because this has been misused by many of the people. Today I have seen many students sitting and chit-chatting. They sit on the roads and do the chit-chatting. If that time is being utilized to learn in a much better way, probably they might be coming out as fruitful society students. Today the teacher is facing a challenge, because when I am talking about last bench students, 80% of the students, their mind is closed, They are not concentrating on the class, and the teacher is also not focusing on them, because if the teacher comes and asks them what is the question I have to face, that is also a lack of drops in kind of a teaching methodology what we have. So this kind of a teaching methodology which comes out in the practical method or the exponential learning method will always have an interaction with the student, which will make the student and teacher bonding much stronger, and the student will also understand the subject in a practical way. By understanding this in a practical way, he himself sits and learns this subject, so this will always remember by him. So that's a kind of a visualized technique what the student needs to understand when he is studying also. Not to mug up, not to study just to by heart and come out and write the exams. Even if he write the exams, he is going to clear. But down the line, after 5 years, whether he is able to remember, nobody knows. So this kind of a teaching methodology has to be implemented today. Thanks to the government of Telangana, which has initiated a lot of faculty development programs, where the teachers have been trained on the psychology aspect of student to make how they can make use of this. So this one kind of a continuous structure which needs to be evolved every 3 months, 4 months for every faculty to come and train. This will help us to build a stronger nation. At the same time, the last bench students, what they are facing this problem can be converted to a productive students. So this is my observation over a period of time of say about 12-13 years of my research development, what I have done in my experience, which come to this and clearly indicates that yes, we have to focus and do something to make the students to come up to the front level. Always shuffling is very important. Today they are not shuffling the students, they make the students as it is to sit. If you are able to shuffle, make them to practice, make them to understand, this will always change their attitude. If we don't put an attempt to change, probably who will try to do it, nobody knows it. So today government is taking that step, so we are very happy towards that. Yes, we should support that.
So you mean like there should be an interaction with the student,
absolutely
with
correct.
the teachers,
Absolutely
in the methodologies,
correct.
techniques, what they are using.
Absolutely correct. There is one more thing which I would like to bring it to the notice. Today, every school is setting a smart class.
Yes.
But the smart class is also kind of a drawback, because what is happening in a smart class is it is a preloaded content. After 6 months, again I come and check the content what it is the same loaded content what I get. So instead of the preloaded content, instead of making them to go for the smart class, instead of that, let them be a practical. Give them the demo, give them the practical information, share the ideas, come out with the ideology to how the student can participate. And if you are able to inculcate the thinking habit in the student, they think, they learn and come out. Without thinking, nobody can learn. So today, the thinking habit is slowly shrinking. Today, very few students think, how can I implement? Very less now. I can say hardly 10% students are trying to do some additional impact. To give you one of the best wonderful example, if we find for the last 2 months records of these news magazines which we got, there are 2 youngest entrepreneurs which created by Chennai. There are 2 brothers at the age of 12 and 14, they became a youngest entrepreneur, CEOs of a company in e-commerce platform. So this was happening because they gave them to think, learn and then produce. So this is a kind of a learning modality what we have to adapt to the children, to let them think. And if we are not making them to think, we are not making them to learn. So that is the difference between the teaching methodology of our teaching methodology and as well as the international teaching methodology. So there is a gap which needs to be bridged actually. So that is a kind of an information which I can share from my experience.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Subramanyam sir, I
Yes,
just
sir.
want to know that this SSC exam,
Yes.
they are writing SSC examinations.
True, very true.
And we say, from 99 TV we can say the best
Yeah.
of luck for them, the best wishes for them
Absolutely, we have to
to
wish
get
them.
a very good performance
True.
in their examinations.
Okay.
What will be the career prospects for these
Okay.
SSC students?
Okay.
Mostly what we have seen, that just they keep in mind that my cousin is an engineer, I should become an
Absolutely
engineer,
correct. True.
or becoming a doctor.
True.
They are just specific and limited to the career platforms.
Absolutely correct.
Can you just highlight some
Okay.
more career options to
This is one of the very interesting question you have asked, sir, because see, the base of the platform starts from the 10th, to be very precisely. If we have to give them the guidance, when we were studying, we were having a very limited opportunity to talk. We were being guided by the teachers, we have been guided by the parents, and somebody who is settled. Generally, if suppose I have my cousin who is settled in US, so they push me to that level. So whether I know it or whether I have this strength, nobody judges with that. Today, the 60% population is facing the same kind of a crunch because they don't know what is happening around them, and they have been forcibly pushed into that to achieve what they wanted to do. So nobody knows after going certain point of time, if they are not able to achieve, they say that you are not capable guy. So this is the right question what you have asked at this point of time, because this is the first stepping stone. If today, if we ask any student how many programs he is able to recalculate, maximum he might tell 15 or max 20. That is a limitation what he has, because the awareness is not happening from the teacher, or the awareness is not happening from the society, because that is the knowledge what they have. Today, if you look at the university, every university is having 312 programs what a student can aspire to take. So which is one of the most wonderful thing to happen, because today if I look at companies also, many people they say Infosys or say about Wipro or say about Tech Mahindra, Cognizant, all these companies, because they are no doubt they are a bigger companies, they hire more than say about having a lakh of employees working under them, and their package is also very good. But when you look at the situation which is happening, the competition is also equally competent. For one position, more than 1,000 people approach for these companies, and the success rate is also down, and the unemployment is happening and increasing more. Yeah. So instead of that, we can show them some kind of an industries they are equally competent enough to pay. For example, textile industry is there, yeah. Raymond's industry is there, Arvind Mills is there. They pay much better salary than the Infosys. But nobody is concentrating on that, because there was lack of awareness which is happening. Yeah. So if you look at today's situation, everybody looks at the farming, but today farming is growing now. There is agriculture economics is happening, agriculture microeconomics is happening. If a person is studying this agriculture economics, he is being paid not less than 50,000 rupees as a fresher to start his salary. Who knows that? To achieve that kind of a salary, people will struggle at least 5 years to achieve that. The companies are ready to pay that. Today there is a bigger university which is there in Hyderabad, this Acharya Rangaraj Agriculture University. They are promoting this in a bigger way. Yeah. Students across India are coming and studying, and they have been picked up immediately after the graduation. So once people have been exposed these kind of positions, they get a better opportunity, and they get settled much faster, and they can become a productive citizen to the society. For example, I'll give you, suppose I am interested to the banking industry. Today, on an average, the banking industry for the fresher pays about 3.5 lakhs to start his career. Suppose I am aiming to the banking industry down the line for the next 5 years. On an average, even if I put 10% increment on the salary slab, for the next 5 years, my salary slab should start by 4.5 lakhs. So if you are able to give that estimated amount of the growth also, okay, he will plan it according to the guidelines, according to the principles, and he will definitely hit ratio. The success ratio would be much better, because my focus and my approach is very clear. To give you a more concluded evidence for this, there is a kind of a strength what every student possesses when inborn. There are 8 strengths what every student has. These are been, for example, to give you a logical intelligence, mathematical intelligence, or body kinetic intelligence, or artistic intelligence. There are several intelligence which are there. So the student, whatever he uses more, that becomes the strength of them. For example, there is a simple thing which we need to understand. Today, everybody likes cricket, everybody plays cricket. But is it possible to match the speed of Sachin Tendulkar? It's not possible, because that became his strength. He utilizes body, he utilizes kinetic movements much faster. So he became a brilliant player. Like that, every student has an inborn talent and a strength which has to be nourished and which has to be found out. Actually, there are physical evidences on the multiple intelligence test and a psychometric test. What comes out very successfully for the student, what can be his strength. As a Sterling, actually if you look at this program, we have done almost 11 years of research on all the different aspects of the child mentality, how we can shape it up. And at the end of the 11 years of research, we were able to conclude that yes, the basement has to start from the 8th, 9th, 10th. This will become a stepping stone for the students to achieve a greater success. So today as a group, we are very proud to say that we are serving more than physical number of students. Today there are 11 lakh students pursuing their SSC, completing their 10th class exams in this financial year. and we are very happy to say that we have almost reached say about 3 lakh students physically by this career counseling, and where the parent is very clear that yes, my student needs this, his strength is this, I am going to take it. So we are very clear in doing this, which we give the physical evidence to the student to understand how we can help each other. So that is one instrument which helps the student to understand what can be his future prospects. And the second aspect would be the inborn talent of the student needs to be nourished. We cannot say that no, you stop this, you do this. That is one of the dangerous pattern today the citizens of India are following, because they don't want the student to come out. They want him to study. They are not understanding what is his strength. Suppose I am more inclined towards an art. Nobody focus the art, how it can be nourished. They only focus on the studies. A lively example I am going to give you. Today, we know that Dr. S.P.B. Balasubramanyam is a renowned singer.
Yeah.
If you look at his basic educational qualification, he is a B.Tech guy. He is a technical grad. But when he has chosen, he became a world famous singer. So his passion towards singing came out very, very naturally.
Yeah.
So if we are able to identify this kind of a talent and help them to nourish this will always help the society to perform better and come out with the most successful citizens, what India is really proud of. What APJ Abdul Kalam dreams to say that think big and achieve big. So we always have to think big and achieve big will possible only when we have to make these people to think. So that is possible only in the schooling days. Today the school system is slowly changing, slowly revamping. Thanks to the government to support this kind of an initiation. At the outset, we also should support to make this practical thinking happening so that students comes out very successfully. And that's one way which I would like to tell to the SSC students, and I would also like to wish them all the best for their exams to come out very successfully. Every student should secure maximum percentage so that their career starts with the best wishes. Always dream high and make it happen. I wish them to come out with the flying colors. So that's my kind of a proposition, what I suggest for the 10th class students to come and write the exams.
Thank you so much, Subramanyam sir, for giving your precious time today with 99 TV studio. And it's a very interesting topic you have discussed with us today, that what are the career options to the
Sure.
SSC students, and even you have discussed the examophobia. So how to come out with the fear with the examinations. So नाजरीन, ये थे सुब्रमण्यम साहब जो जनरल मैनेजर लर्निंग एंड डेवलपमेंट स्टर्लिंग ग्रुप ऑफ कंपनीज हमारे साथ आज स्टूडियो में बातचीत में मौजूद थे। ऐसे ही दिलचस्प शख्सियतों के साथ आपकी मुलाकात हम करवाते रहेंगे। देखते रहिए 99 टीवी, आपका अपना पसंदीदा चैनल।